Now, you're the representative of the Lebanese government itself, but the head of Hezbollah, as I said, spoke on Friday about this rising conflict. What can you tell us about this situation there today?
Well, as you know, the situation is tense and volatile at our southern borders. There is low to mid-intensity exchange of fire. From our side, as Lebanese government, we are doing our utmost to contain the situation and not to allow the country to be embroiled in a larger conflict. But this, of course, necessitates curbing Israeli provocations, which we've been sustaining for the last 3 weeks, and finding a horizon for this horrific conflict in Gaza. This conflict is very contagious, and it's so difficult to contain it in its original theater of operation. The social fabric in the whole region is similar. So this propagation effect is natural. Again, from our side as Lebanese government, we don't want the country to be embroiled into this deadly conflict, but this necessitates cooperation from all stakeholders.
Let me ask you about a specific thing. I want to come back to more general politics in a moment, but earlier this week, one Amnesty International official alleged that Israel had used white phosphorus shells, which are banned by international conventions. And the allegation is that Israel had fired these into southern Lebanon. To the knowledge of the Lebanese government, is that true?
Yes, it's documented, and we reported that to the United Nations Security Council, requesting it to take action against Israel. And this is not the first time that Israel uses internationally banned arms against Lebanese territory.
Well, Israel, of course, has said that it had never done that and would never do this.
This is documented by UN reports. I want to remind you that we have UN peacekeepers in southern Lebanon, UNIFIL, which have been doing an excellent job for years. And their successive reports, they confirm this illegal use of weaponry by the Israeli side, along with targeting civilians and targeting journalists. 3 weeks ago, there is a journalist that was slain by Israeli shelling, a reporter, photographer, and 5 were injured, along with other civilians that were killed by Israeli shelling.
Okay, Lebanon has, for a long time, I came to Lebanon many years ago, and even then it was a battleground fought over by people from outside Lebanon. You talked about Israel, but also there is Hezbollah. Now, Mr. Nasrallah seemed to be saying on Friday that they have no plans to escalate hostilities. Do you believe him?
I think no one has plans to escalate. This conflict has taken everyone by surprise. Everyone in Lebanon understands the seriousness of embarking in an armed conflict. However, we have been on the receiving end. Israel started provoking Lebanese territories 3 weeks ago. And what you're seeing from the Lebanese side is defensive and aims at recalibrating the cost-profit equation for the Israelis with the aim of maintaining security, not embarking in an armed conflict.
When you say recalibrating the cost-profit equation for the Israelis, what do you mean by that?
Well, they should know that for every action, they would expect a reaction. This is a natural, I think, rule of how things go in this region and beyond. I think this is a universal rule.
So by that logic, if the Israelis don't, for example, simply stop their activities now, we could see more aggressive action from Hezbollah.
Defensive, you mean? Defensive. I think Sayyid Nasrallah, he
when we call it
emphasized...
aggressive or defensive, what we mean is more rockets being fired into Israel.
He emphasized in his speech, and of course I don't speak for him, he has spokesperson, but as Lebanese government, and they're part of the Lebanese society, I would tell you that the Lebanese action, or what you've been seeing from the Lebanese side, is purely defensive. Now, having said this, there is also the other... Yes, they're purely defensive. Actually, we've always been on the receiving end in Lebanon. We've never started a war.
To be fair, I mean, I understand why you're saying that, but and to emphasize again, you do not speak for Hezbollah. I accept that, but it is part of Hezbollah's purpose in life. They are completely clear about this, that they want to destroy Israel.
Well, it's their strategic objective, but in action, they've been in the defensive now for decades. Anyway, I'm not here to defend their modus operandi or to explain their modus operandi. They have their mode of action.
I get that. I understand.
But from a Lebanese government standpoint, I reiterate that we're not interested in escalation. We just want to curb Israeli provocations, which have been very tense on Lebanon recently. And at the same time, and in parallel, it's a fact of life. It's a statement of fact, not a statement of preference, if you want.
I mean, the reason... So I'm not talking about Hezbollah simply to put you in that position, but the thing that I think is very striking here, everybody in the Middle East a generation ago would have said, Lebanon, what a beautiful country. It's a place where different kinds of people meet and so forth. Over the last generation, it has pretty much been destroyed by this conflict. And the economy is virtually collapsed and so on. The problem that you have, I guess, is that you've asked, for example, for more aid from Britain. But as you yourself have said, Hezbollah is part of Lebanese society. It operates schools, hospitals, bin collections. And you can't get aid from Britain while you're essentially in the grip of this organization that Britain defines as a terrorist body. How are you ever going to get out of that situation?
Well, I think this approach is totally counterproductive because if you want to contain any group, you would need to empower the state. So aid aims at empowering the state, at making sure that the Lebanese state becomes the main refuge for the citizens. And any logic that goes counter to that would indirectly serve any group that you originally want to contain.
So your answer is to strengthen the Lebanese state?
Definitely, the Lebanese state, the Lebanese army, and that's what the UK has been doing, and we always ask for more.